Hello everybody and welcome to my channel, Mommy Mania. If you've been here before, welcome back. If this is your first time, we talk about just about everything. Motherhood, stressors, tips, tricks, hacks, food, kids, all kinds of fun stuff. It's not just for moms, but we do include everybody. Today I figured I would talk about what it was like for me when I had both of my kids, both labor and birthing experiences. I think it's kind of fun to talk about that stuff, and I think it's kind of fun for other women too. Before I forget, if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell icon so you are notified every time I post a video. I try to post every Friday. Last week just did not happen. We got busy with our county fair. Sorry, interrupted by my daughter there. Anywho, yeah, I think it's kind of fun to talk about, and I think other moms like to talk about their experiences too and kind of compare and see, you know, similarities, differences, that kind of thing. With my daughter, she was born on November 4th, 2013. It was a rough pregnancy. If you had seen one of my earlier videos on that, I had basically every symptom in the book. I had hyperemesis, which is nausea, vomiting, all pregnancy. I also had really bad acne. I had, excuse me, I had heartburn, I had indigestion, I had bowel issues. So I was put on some medicine for my hyperemesis, which in turn kind of constipated me as well. So it was just a balancing act through the pregnancy. So I was due on the 8th, which was a Friday, and the Sunday beforehand, I actually started having contractions that Sunday evening. I think it was about 6 o'clock, if I remember right. And they weren't really close together, and they weren't really strong at that point, but after a few hours, they started getting closer together and started strengthening in intensity. So about 10 o'clock, I did call over to our hospital, which is only like 15 minutes away from us, so it was a quick drive. And since I was a first-time mom, they told me to wait until my contractions were a little bit closer together. I think they said like 3 minutes apart. So my husband and I got ready for bed, and which, let me tell you, that was a wasted effort, because I laid down about 11:30, and at midnight the contractions were really strong, and they were about 3 to 5 minutes apart. So in between contractions, we hurried down to the truck, and we grabbed our to-go bags and over to the hospital we went. We got there, and the nurses asked my birthing plan. I told them that I was not opposed to drugs at all. I was okay with IV meds, I was okay with epidural, I was okay with oral meds, whatever they needed to do. However, I wanted to labor as long as I could without. So we got there a little after midnight, and so I was interrupted again. Anyway, so I was up early morning Sunday, all the way through Sunday night into Monday morning. And my nursing my nurses were amazing. I just have to say that. So if any of you are watching, you were amazing. Me being a nurse myself, not working in a hospital, but I did some clinic rotations in hospital in the OB department, and my nurses were phenomenal. Anyway, so I told them I wasn't opposed to pain meds of any kind, but I wanted to labor as long as I could. So I went all through the night up until about 6:30. No, it was about 6 o'clock in the morning, and I said, all right, I need something. So they gave me some IV pain meds. that lasted about 45 minutes. So I said, yep, just give me the epidural. I'm so tired. My pain threshold is way down, and my threshold's pretty decent. So they got the nurse anesthetist in there, and I got my epidural, and then I was able to sleep once that kicked in, which was nice. And so I slept for an hour or two, and I got my strength back. And then, oh, what happened though was, so when I got my epidural, my doctor broke my water to kind of help speed things along, but things just kind of came to a halt. I was still contracting and everything, but I wasn't dilating any further, and I wasn't building in contraction strength or anything like that. So things just kind of came to a halt, but I think that's why I was able to sleep, which was a good thing. So after a couple hours of sleeping and resting, then I got my strength back, and then my contractions started intensifying again, which was kind of cool with the epidural, because I could see and I could feel my stomach contracting, but it didn't hurt. So that was kind of fun. But as I dilated and effaced and contractions came closer and closer together, I started pushing about noon. We tried lots of different positions, and an hour and a half later, actually an hour and 36 minutes later, my daughter was born. And it was kind of fun because we waited until she was born before we found out what sex she was, and so it was kind of fun. And I had an inkling, mother's intuition, that she was a girl. My husband was obviously hoping for a boy, but here came my little Alyssa. So anyway, yeah, that was my first one, and everything went well. Healthy baby. She was 7 pounds, 12 ounces, and 19 inches long, so she was a decent sized baby. And now she is almost 6. So time flies. My second baby, my son, he was born on March 19th, 2018, a year and a half ago. So my pregnancy was easier with him, I have to say. I was still nauseated some, so I got on the same medicine I had with my daughter, and my symptoms weren't as bad. I didn't have the huge acne breakouts. I was able to keep on top of my bodily functions otherwise, and I really didn't have any weird cravings with either of them. Just whatever sounded good at the time. But then, so my son was also due on a Friday, and I went into labor Sunday night again. The thing is that weekend was also my husband's grandpa's wake and funeral. So our family from out of town was in, and I was due that next week. So they were all kind of hoping I was gonna go on Sunday after everything was said and done, so they could all see the baby before they went back home. But he just didn't want to come out Sunday night. He waited until the next day. But anyway, so Sunday night, again, it was right before bed, started getting contractions, and we went over to the hospital. Well, first we dropped my daughter off at my uncle's place. He was on the way over. Called him and said, hey, you ready for a drop and run? And he said, yep, we're ready. So we got Alyssa up out of bed, and we had a little to-go bag ready for her, so we just dropped her off at his place, and then we went over, and my contractions were about 5 minutes apart. So we got there a little after midnight. It's probably about 12:30, and they measured me. I was moving right along with everything, and again, I told them, same plan as last time. I wanted to labor as long as I could without any medicine. So anywho, interrupted again, kids. So I had wanted to labor as long as I could without medicine again, and when I got there, of course, they hooked me up to fluids right away and all that. Well, then I had gotten into the Whirlpool tub probably about 2 in the morning, I think it was 2:30, just to kind of relax because my contractions were coming on strong. I wasn't very far along at that point. I think I was 3 or 4 when I first got in the tub, and when I got out I was at 7. So the nurses got a hold of my doctor and said, okay, she's at 7. Their contractions are pretty strong. And he's like, oh yeah, okay, well, you know, let me know when she gets even closer. And my nurses tried stressing to my doctor that, hey, you know, she is going to be going soon. So anyway, I told the nursing staff that I wanted an epidural at that point because the contractions were extremely strong. They were really rapid too. And then the nurse anesthetist came up and he went through everything with me. I signed all the paperwork. I was laying on my side, ready to get the epidural. He had everything ready to go, had already numbed the area, and then my water broke. And then I was from 7 to 10, just like that. So I couldn't help but push, even though I wasn't supposed to yet because my doctor wasn't there. He was on his way because the nurses called him again and said, no, you need to get here now. Well, on his way there, he forgot his badge to get in the back way to the OB department. So he was standing at the locked doors because anymore they lock the OB department in case of people taking babies. Anyway, he was waiting there for one of the nurses to let him in because they were all in with me. Helping me through the labor process, and I felt so bad for the one nurse. I was leaning on her and my water broke and it went all over her shoes and the bottom of her pants. I'm trying not to push and couldn't help but, well, my doctor came in, was scrubbed and gowned and was there, and I pushed like 3 or 4 times and John came out. So he almost missed John being born. And it was funny because as John came out, he pooped all over my doctor, which I found was kind of funny. So anyway, yeah, John was my fast and furious baby, and Alyssa was my slow and steady, and now they've kind of switched. Alyssa is my bouncy, hyper fast child, and John is, he's got energy, but he's a little more laid back than my daughter is. So it's just kind of funny to see the difference between the two. But yeah, those are my birthing stories. I kind of had opposite ends of the spectrum. So yeah, I had medicines with my daughter. I had the epidural. It was nice. I was able to relax. It was a long kind of process because from 6 Sunday night to 1:30 Monday afternoon, or 1:36 Monday afternoon. So it was a long process with her. With an hour and a half pushing in there, and my son, who had come within 6 hours, because it was within 5 hours because we got at the hospital a little after midnight, and he was born at 4:59. I think they put 5 o'clock on the birth certificate, but he was born at 4:59. He was my fast and furious child. I had nothing with him. So it's kind of funny to see the difference and just see, you know, they are definitely siblings, you can tell, but their personalities are so different. It's so cool. So yeah, I kind of want to hear your birthing stories. So please leave a comment down below and let me know if you had similar experiences to mine or different experiences, and you know how your hospital staff was and such like that. So anyway, I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Enjoy the nice weather. We're having nice weather anyway, so if you're in the Midwest, I hope you're enjoying the nice weather. And we will see you guys next time. Bye.